What did Joe say? Well, the White House is defending Vice President Joe Biden after he expressed, quote, overwhelming frustration with the Israeli government.
I firmly believe that the actions that Israel's government has taken over the past several years, the steady and systematic expansion of settlements, the legalization of outposts, land seizures, they're moving us, and more importantly, they're moving Israel in the wrong direction. They're moving us toward a one-state reality, and that reality is dangerous.
Now, White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest is being asked by our own Peter Doocy whether this criticism hurts U.S.-Israeli relations.
What good does it do anybody for the vice president to make Israel, our ally, into a villain?
Well, I would vigorously disagree with that description of what Vice President Biden said. I think Vice President Biden himself, just having completed a trip to Israel just within the last 4 or 6 weeks here, is somebody who understands the importance of the relationship between our two countries. When you have a strong relationship with your allies, you can also comfortably disagree in public. And there are areas of disagreement as a matter of policy.
Oh, but it's the timing that makes this especially sticky for Joe Biden. He made those remarks just hours after a bus exploded in the heart of Jerusalem on Monday. Remember, we covered this here on Outnumbered. At least 21 people were badly injured. Israeli officials called it a terror attack. Okay, so the timing was poor, but what do you think about the words anytime you would say them?
I certainly wouldn't have used them, but this isn't about words. It's not about criticizing the prime minister. It's about a policies across the entire Middle East region that have demonstrably made Israel less safe. It has empowered Israel's greatest enemies. The Iran deal is something that will live to haunt this country and Israel, and I pray that it doesn't haunt the country as badly as it very well could, and not just Israel, but they have made clear that they want to obliterate Israel from the map. But as you were talking about earlier about with the warheads, it's not going to be long before they aren't able to reach into Europe and reach into other parts of the outside of the Middle East region. It's terrifying, and this administration, you can't blame anyone as much as you blame this administration for this.
If you look back, anybody who criticized that Iran deal, certainly domestically, you've got Senator Chuck Schumer here in New York, that even Josh Earnest admitted after he was asked, he was against the Iran deal. Does that have anything to do with him now kind of being in the crosshairs of the White House? Well, he did go against it, was Josh Earnest. So, Benjamin Netanyahu came to this country to talk about the Iran deal and push against it.
We covered it live on the show.
And I'm wondering, is there any sort of retaliation or retribution? Why is the relationship with the White House so poor with him, Megan?
Well, these comments should surprise us, but they don't. We're talking about an administration who wouldn't even let Netanyahu speak in front of Congress. I think of all the legacies of the Obama administration, the Iran deal, and our fractured relationship with Israel, and like you said, putting them in direct danger and administering that is going to be the legacy we live with, and it's nothing short of tragic.
Wait a second, but I have to push back on that a little bit. Nobody ever accused Israel of being anti-American because Benjamin Netanyahu came and spoke to Congress. Right? He came and spoke to Congress. He vociferously criticized this Iran deal and the policy of this president. And nobody ever said, just because you're criticizing the United States policy means that you're anti-American. Yet here's Joe Biden going before J Street. He's not going to the Knesset in Jerusalem. He's going to a group of liberal Jewish activists in Washington and saying that we disagree with Netanyahu because he's not pushing hard enough on a two-state solution, something that the majority of Jewish voters in this country actually agree with. And all of a sudden, we consider him to be anti-Israel. He's not anti-Israel. He's criticizing a policy. He's not criticizing Israel, the country. He's not saying somehow that this United States somehow believes that Israel doesn't have the right to exist or we're somehow not their strongest ally in the Middle East. If we're not going to criticize Netanyahu for being anti-American, and we shouldn't, we should never criticize Joe Biden for being anti-Israeli.
But being anti-American, he was pushing against a deal that we still don't know what's in it because we can't see the side deals. But we do know that there's some dirt on the floor with regard to all of that.
But Julie, why is the fight so public? Why can't they settle? Why can't they speak behind closed doors?
Because quite honestly, Netanyahu, I think, is a frustrating character to a lot of world leaders, not just this one. And I think Barack Obama is fed up with him now.
He's also a beloved leader.
He's not.
Was it ever
Excuse
warm?
me.
Did we miss it?
He's not beloved. He got about 25% of the vote from the Israeli
I think
public.
internationally you could debate that he's a pretty popular figure in different places. Also,
I don't know about
Iran
that.
chants death to Israel, death to America, and we're giving them money, which we now admit we don't know if it's not going to terrorism or not. Maybe that's why. It's a little controversial as well.